Researchers' art began as a mechanism for researchers to try and communicate across disciplines. Research is part of our culture. It drives us, not just as researchers, but through society. When you see entries and submissions, the image is just there, it grabs you. Each of these images represent a story, so they're the researcher's story, researcher's process, or the humanity behind that research, or their emotions that drive their research. And it's through these images and captivating text that the researchers have really tapped into that and created something very new. Researchers from across campus, or all disciplines, have engaged with researchers' art and created submissions.
The idea was to show the limitations of historical research. So if it's not recorded in a document, we'll never know about it. I think I just learned how much you have to distill your research to put it into an image. You have to cut away all of the extraneous stuff and really just talk about the central aims. Women haven't had enough of a say. They haven't been adequately represented. So I'd love for this to even go a little way towards redressing the balance. You know, you have to be hopeful as a researcher that you're going to be able to really reconstruct people's experiences. So,
what this image really captured for us was sort of the blurred background, the noise, how a student sex worker's identity can completely take over their lives.
It made me feel very emotional actually, because I know the person that image is based on, and I know their story, I know their background. So for me it was really an inspiring moment to see that their image had come through in the way that they wanted it to.
And this is just such a powerful image.
So I would hope that it would perhaps make people start to think about who is the real student sex worker. Let's not stereotype them, let's not stigmatise them, and look at them as a complex person in the same way many of us are complex people.
This image actually is about global interconnections between cities across the world. There's a bigger story behind the image. There's a story about how even the most deprived neighbourhoods and communities in cities are nevertheless connected into international networks. Normally we think about cities like London, New York, Tokyo as affecting other cities in the world and cities learning from them, whereas this is an interesting example because it's in the opposite direction.
My actual physical research is very much based on archival material and on reading scripts, which didn't seem to me like a very exciting image. But when I combined that with the subject of what I was researching and the idea of a theatre performer getting ready to go on stage, I thought that was really a way of looking inside the researcher's head. It seemed to have the fizz and the bubble, which represented the passion that drives researchers and that drives me as a researcher. For me, your research really reaches its potential when you're connecting with other people and when you're communicating it to other people. The Researchers' Art Competition has been really important to me. It's challenged me, it's stretched me. It's got me thinking as well about the role of my own research and the role of other researchers, because I think we're all driven by the same things, even though our subjects are quite different. But what comes after this, that's really is the most exciting bit for me.
I was inspired to create this image from being outside at Christmas time with my kids. They bought me a telescope for Christmas. We were looking at the stars and looking at the moon, and it just got me remembering the way I used to feel when I was looking at the moon and the stars, and you get that wow feeling. The image itself is of a metal powder, or a particle from a metal powder, and the particle itself is a faulty particle. First of all, this particle was different from the rest of the particles, and I found it very interesting. So I popped it on my desktop, and I didn't really think much of it after that. And then it was only from when people were coming into the office and started looking at it, and they started asking questions about, oh, that's really cool, what's that all about? That I realised, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. I mean, I think it's cool, but I'm glad that other people think that it's cool as well. And by them asking questions, I think I realised maybe, I can put this into researchers' art because it is generating interest. And potentially if people ask questions or enough questions, inadvertently they are starting on the path to becoming a researcher themselves, really, because as soon as you ask that question, you want to try and find the answer, whether somebody tells you or not.
The sentiment of researchers' art is echoed in this line from a poem: "The universe is made of stories, not of atoms."